Hey everybody, I just want to do a video, I guess kind of quickly, as quickly as I can, and just talk about things. Um, so, a few days ago, uh, it was the year, I guess, anniversary of when I was sexually assaulted. Um, and I didn't think it was going to hit me so hard. Um, I thought, okay, I can handle this, and then it did. It did hit me hard, and um, that, in combination with um, everything going on in the world with the coronavirus and being on lockdown and isolation and all of that, um, it's just a lot of trauma, a lot to handle. Not just for me, but for everybody. And then throwing in that year anniversary on top of it, it just knocked me out. Like, I've slept so much over the last few days. It's insane. Um, so, something that I've come to realization of, something that I want to do um, while I was in bed the last few days. Um, I this thing has taken control over my life. It's consumed me, and I hate that. I hate that for myself, and it's not representation of who I am. And yes, I was sexually assaulted, but that is not my life. That is not who I am. I am going to survive that. I'm going to overcome that, and I'm going to come out better because of it. Um, I think that a lot of it comes back to every day I have to think about it, because every day I have to think about how I'm going to survive because of the situation I've been put in because of it. Um, I was sexually assaulted, then reported to my employer, sexually assaulted by a supervisor who I had to see basically every day after that, who would constantly text and like stalk me on apps and on my phone. Um, and I would see him every day at work, um, and reported that, and then uh, they did nothing. They didn't care, and um, it eventually got to a point where I just reported again, and um, by that time I just broke down. I lasted a little while after that, and then it was just too much. Emotionally, it was too much to know I was working for a company that just didn't care. Um, and to think about the potential of this predator doing this to other people, putting other people in the same situation, was overwhelming for me. Um, I sought uh, emotional and mental help from a psychotherapist, and then from a psychologist and therapist in general. I got on medication, and that helped a lot. But by that time, I had missed so much work and didn't feel safe going back to work. Didn't feel like, for one, didn't feel safe going back to work. Didn't feel mentally prepared, mentally and emotionally prepared to go back and work for that same company that didn't care about me. And then on top of that, uh, just not physically in a place that I could do it, and had missed so much work. And then they tried to terminate me, and it just became a big mess. And in that process, I haven't been able to go to work anywhere else. They haven't been able to fire me, and because it would be retaliation. And so it has just like put me in a lockdown to where like my option was basically I lost everything because I wasn't getting paid. And I have my car, and my option was to go and live in a shelter, or travel and meet people and just try to make the most of the situation. Um, I didn't want to be in the same place in the city that this person lived, um, living there. And I also didn't want to go and live with anybody else full time while I'm going through this situation, waiting to be able to get whenever you file for a lawsuit, whenever it's a workers situation. excuse me, you have to go through EEOC, and with that, they will review your case and decide if you can move forward with a lawsuit or not. That takes 180 days. 180 days from whenever I and my attorneys filed EOC was, it's coming up this next week. And EOC actually has already given us, they have told us that they're giving us a right to sue. We just have to wait for the letter. But with the coronavirus and everything going on, it kind of slows everything down a lot more than what it even would normally. So it's going to be even longer. But we have that now, which helps a lot, which means that we can probably, as soon as that letter comes in, once they issue it, we can move forward to a lawsuit. The things I want from that, most importantly, I want the company to change how they handle people reporting sexual assault or sexual harassment, anything of that nature, anything where somebody feels uncomfortable at work with a supervisor. I want that company to change how they handle that and how they react to that. It's important to me because that was one of the biggest things that affected me, was thinking about, okay, these people didn't care enough to stop, not only to like address my issue, but to make sure that this didn't happen to anybody else. And that I live with. I lived with it and I still live with it. Leaving that opportunity for him to be able to prey on others was unacceptable to me. Still is unacceptable to me. So I want them to change how they do that. And I want personally myself to be taken care of to where this is fixed, like my financial situation because of missing work and not being able to work and giving up like a dream job of mine to be a flight attendant, to do what I love, to be able to travel and meet people and be able to meet guests and take care of people. That was a dream, and I don't know that I can ever return to that again because I just don't feel comfortable with it. And so I want that to be fixed. Like I want damages paid for that. But in the meantime, I'm just making it work with what I have. But I've decided that I don't want this to consume me anymore. I don't want this to be an everyday thing. And I would get messages sometimes 2 or 3 times a day asking about the airline or asking about my situation. And it's just so much. It's draining. Like, this is not my life. I don't want this to be everything I am. I want to do the right thing so that this person can't do this to other people, and so the company handles this differently going forward, and hopefully it helps other people in the future. I feel like that's my responsibility to take care of, and I want to do that, but I don't want to make it seem like that's my only thing, like that's the only thing that I am, because it's not. I am a person beyond that, so it's going to be challenging, but I want to move on from it. I want to not be in that every day. And so part of that is whenever somebody writes me and they ask about, like, I won't talk about the airline. I won't name the airline because I'm not going to. And people ask what the airline was, and we'll ask, what's going on with the lawsuit, what's going on with this, and I'm tired of talking about it. So anytime that anybody talks to me or sends me a message about it, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not responding because I don't want to live in that anymore. Now, it's okay if people write me that have been in similar situations and they want advice. I will be more than happy to talk about that and to help people get through those situations. That's different. But asking about my personal situation, I don't want to live in it anymore. Like, I don't want to be constantly dragged down, because it does. It constantly drags me down to where I can't handle it. And then I end up spending days in a bed or in my car just sleeping because I don't want to have to face it. I don't want to deal with it anymore. And I hope you understand that. And I hope that people that have been asking about it understand that thank you for caring and thank you for, showing you care, but it's doing the reverse of what you're trying to do, and I can't do that anymore. Another thing that's come up recently is the lady that is my mom has started reaching out to people that on Instagram and social networks that I follow, and basically telling them to reach out to me and say that I need to come home. No, the place that she lives now is not home for me. She still doesn't agree with people being gay. She still hates gay people, and she doesn't approve of my lifestyle. And I don't want to go back there. Like, she disowned me, didn't want any part of my life, and I moved on from that and worked out that in my mind. And then once I start talking about the airline and lawsuit, then she comes back in, and it makes me feel like it's something to do with money. And no, I don't. No, it's more trauma added to a certain a traumatic experience I'm going through now, that it's just no, I don't want to do that. So if she writes you, I'm sorry. Ignore it. I don't want to know about it. And I don't know what she's doing or why she's doing it, but like, I'm in a different place in my life, and I've accepted that place, and I don't need the toxic or the negative in my life anymore. And I've made that very clear to her, but she refuses to understand it and to accept that, and that's sad, because it almost feels like she wants to drag me down. I don't want to be dragged down into that, dealing with that along with what I'm dealing with now, along with what we're all going through right now with quarantine and with being on lockdown for coronavirus. It's just too much. I don't need all of that. Like, that's gonna no. So if she writes you, I apologize. Ignore it, and hopefully she'll just stop, because I don't need that in my life, and I hope she doesn't bother you. If she does, I'm really sorry. After this video, I don't want to even talk about any of this anymore. Like, I want to be able to move on, and I don't. Whenever this all happened, and I ended up not being able to work and not make any money and couldn't go to work anywhere else, I had to ask people for help, and then I lost a lot of friends, and a lot of people that I really cared for in my life just stopped caring and backed away from me, and that hurt a lot. And then I had people making fun of me and the situation, and it was just a lot. It was very, very, it was like it made the experience so much worse. And I don't want to have to be begging people or asking people for help anymore. And I know that that's going to be near impossible, because I still depend on others. Like, right now I'm staying in a motel, but I'm using my stimulus check for that to cover it, to get through this for a little bit. But I don't want to have to reach out to people and ask for help anymore, because I can't handle it. I hate that. I want to be able to move on in my life and be happy and share things, share stories, and be who I am, be a positive thing, a positive person. And I can't be that if I'm living in that all the time. And so while I am going to still be facing struggles, I know I am, I'm going to try to not talk about it and not focus on it, instead focus on other things. I'm going to, I've been writing some prior to like the depression the last few days. I was working on some writing, so I'm going to get back into that and start putting my attention elsewhere from the sexual assault, elsewhere from losing my source of income, elsewhere from dealing with my mom and that issue, elsewhere from the coronavirus, and just start working on what my passion really is, which is storytelling. I want to get back into storytelling and writing and doing photography for right now, while I'm kind of in this limbo place, and hopefully do something that inspires others, or that entertains others, or teaches other, does like all three. That's my life. That's my passion. That's what I'm passionate about. And hopefully one day I can hopefully turn that into an income. And if not, then I'll go work somewhere full time and do that passion on the side. But I want to change all of this negative that's going on and take my focus off of that negative and put it into positive, and focus on positive going forward. I'm also considering going into politics. I have a very big interest in politics and helping others, and I feel like once you get into politics, you're in a better place to be able to help more people with law changes and legislation. And So I'm considering maybe even going into politics. We'll see. I don't know. There's a lot of open doors that I could take. Like I'm on basically, I'm where it's basically a blank drawing board, and I can just go with it. And so that's the plan. I'm going to make the most of life. I'm very, very fortunate to be alive, and I'm very thankful. And I'm going to make the most of every day going forward. Um, there have been a lot of times in my life that I thought it was going to be over, and every day has been a blessing. So I'm going to make the most of it, turn everything around, and push forward in the most positive way that I can. And I hope you can do the same. So if you send me a message asking about anything that's negative in my life, I'm going to probably ignore it. And it's not anything bad against you, and I appreciate you caring, and I know that it's because you care, but I can't live in that anymore. So I've got to do the right thing for me, and to be the best person I can be, and that is going to take me doing that. So please be understanding. And I'm still kind of depressed, but I think a lot of people are going through a lot of depression right now. We're sleeping a lot more because we're inside a lot more, and we're just like trying to pass time. People who are non-essential are just trying to pass time to get by. So I'm sleeping a lot more anyway, and I'm thinking that has a lot to do with it. So I wake up and I'm like, I don't really want to face the world right now, as it is. I'm going to go back to sleep to be in my dreams. So yeah, sorry this video ended up being a lot longer than what I expected, but just wanted to sit down and have kind of a heart-to-heart. I love you all so much, and I appreciate all the support. It means the world. I'm going to make it out of this. I know I am. We're on the last stretch of this, and I can't wait to be done. And I'm going to start, like I said, focusing on positive things. So if you see everything just kind of change, and that's why. Because I refuse to let this consume me anymore. And I hope that if you're facing things negative in your life, that you face them, get over them, don't let them consume you. You are more than your challenges. Okay. I love you all, and I'll talk to you soon. Mwah.